All right, Sandy, Bonnie, and Lisa, you'll admit people, okay? I'm start sharing my screen now. All right, we'll start. Give me 1 second, just 1 second. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April neighborhood meeting for Ward 3. This is our agenda. As promised, we will start on time and we will end on time, okay? Whether somebody's talking, I will turn off the video at exactly 8 o'clock. I value your time, and I also value the time of our speakers and guests. So at 7:30, I will just give you a brief update of what we did, me and my team in our ward, some issues and concerns, any announcements. And by exactly 7:50, I'll give the floor to our chief of police, who is a very busy guy. As you can see, he's still wearing his formal uniform. He was in an event, and I have to beg him to be in our ward. He said, anything for you, counselor. So thank you, chief. I know you're everywhere, but you always find time to be here to answer a lot of our, to answer some of our questions and concerns. I also received emails from residents who cannot make it to this meeting, but I'll be reading some of their questions and their inputs as well. So this is our update this month. Please let me know if you cannot see it. If you can see it, then I can continue and go ahead. I would like to request everybody to have at least a quick moment of silence in honor of my colleague, Councillor Buzzy Barton. Thank you. So quick update for councillor update. We have a new vice president. Our new vice president is Diana Chakudis, Ward 5 City Councillor. We also have a new councillor, Councillor Nicole McLean, who is going to continue the remaining term of Councillor Buzzy Barton. We have 38 events this month. When I say 38 events, if you're following us on Facebook, we're basically everywhere doing events, meetings here and there. It's all 38. I can even keep up myself. I see Representative Armini smiling because we crisscross in a lot of events with each other. Talking about events, I am, as my team knows this, I am very anal about collecting information. I'm very particular about details. It's just me, it's just my personality. So we have 26 phone calls, 53 email, 22 Facebook messages, and 8 in-person meeting. When I say 8 in-person meeting, I actually went to a constituent's house, have house calls, and have conversations with a constituent. And this month we have project requests. We have 15 all together. So we're working in a lot of them. It's again, every month it's the same thing, from very simple requests to very tough requests. So we face them all. Our resident just wants to be heard. They just wants to have a conversation. So that's what we're doing. For Kylie Park update, Lisa Prack, Precinct 3, can you give us an update for Kylie Park, please?
Happy Friday, everyone. I hope everyone have a drink in hand and ready. Well, Cali Park, they had a cleanup on the 8th, was for Little League, getting ready for all the Little League. You can probably see them already playing on the field. On June 17th, there will be a field day, so mark your calendar for that. So Kelly Park a few months ago, we had a meeting with the designer. We proposed a design of from what the Kelly Task Force group have been coming up together month after month, and we gave them design ideas and see what we want. And the design team is actually currently in process of finalizing their design. And we will have a second meeting, and we do not know when or what day it is yet, but once they find out, once they finalize that design, they'll contact us, and I'll let everyone know what the update is. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Goldfish Pond update, Bonnie Carr, precinct 4, precinct captain. Take your time. Can you see the screen?
Okay, everybody, sorry about that. I had to let somebody in the room. I got a little sidetracked. So as we all know, got Goldfish Pond, that area is a gem in our city and in our ward. So we were recently awarded some ARPA money to be able to do some renovations and cleanup and new things that need to be replaced. So the first meeting was attended last week, and there's going to be a $38,000 budget for the fountain, which is will make it really beautiful. That needs to be replaced, and also some sidewalks, and both of the flagpoles also are included in that proposal. So the Goldfish Pond is on its way to being the gem in the city, then the ward that everybody wishes that it will be.
Thank you, Bonnie. Clark Park update, Sandy Anschewitz.
Hi, there's a lot of stuff happening at Clark Park. Coco and I went to a meeting last week, I think it was last week,
Yes.
talking about the new construction of a brand new memorial statue. It's going to include 2 flagpoles, a plaque, and it's all dedicated to a fallen Marine who lived in Lynn, right around the corner. It was like his home park. Dandrio Construction, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, is spearheading it all with the DPW and the Community Development Department. Also, the pickleball court construction is almost done. It looks like we have one more part, and it is the thermoplastic needs to be added, and when that's put on, it'll be out of commission for a week, and then we'll be good to go. And if you don't know how to pick pickleball, it's okay, because we are going to have a giant citywide clinic for grown-ups and for kids, and it's going to be for beginners and advanced people. So I hope you all can make that. That'll be at the end of May. And finally, I hope I have this date right. Clark Park is going to have a cleanup on June 13th. Is that the right date?
May
Coco?
13th. May 13th.
May 13th. Thank you. I knew it was wrong. The May 13th. So come on and help us clean the park. Bring your kids. It's a great opportunity to teach them about being responsible neighbors and community members. And that's mine. Bye.
While you're here, Sandy, can you update us with the Citizen Advisory Board?
It's time. Yes, I forgot. CAB. So the entitlement grants, we had a few hearings and then meetings with our group, and we've officially submitted our recommendations for our entitlement grant to the director. And there is a hearing set on May 9th for the council to agree or disagree and whatever, but we've done our part, and I'm feeling really confident that we have given money to some great organizations.
Thank you, Sandy. Number 8 is the Old Thurgood Marshall School. I'm still waiting for the go signal. Once we receive a go signal, then we'll go ahead with the neighborhood meeting there. So if you live in that area, stay tuned. I will post more information once I have it. Okay. We're very lucky that we have State Representative Jenny Armini here, who could give us updates about number 9, Kings Beach. But before that, I just want you to know that I had meetings with Harvard students who actually spent weeks here in our area to study the flooding problem. And I see my friend Jay here who lives in that area, who has tremendous flooding problems. So they actually base there and will make some recommendations soon. I will release that recommendation once it's available. So Representative Armini, take it away.
Sure. So the legislative delegation has begun the process of educating the new Healy administration about the problems at Kings Beach and asking them for assistance in identifying the federal funding that is coming through the state for projects, environmental justice projects, water and infrastructure projects. And we will be meeting with the Secretary of Environmental Affairs, and we being the task force that's been working on this, that includes the mayor, includes the town administrator in Swampscott. And will be, that's the ask, to get her assistance to help us identify this money that's coming through the state. We've already sent a letter outlining the problem, so that, she knows what we're talking about. She has a good sense of it by the time we get in the room with her. I've also met with the new climate chief, Melissa Hoffer, and I talked to her about the problem. Her charge is to look at the climate issue across all agencies. And so she will also be helpful in identifying some resources. And speaking of resources, I just want to say the House passed its budget, FY24 budget this week. It was long but exciting process, and we got the $50,000 to clean up the algae on Kings Beach and Long Beach. So I'm very excited about that, and I know that Senator Creighton is committed to it. So we should be good as we continue on with the budget.
Thank you, Jen. Representative Armeni, there's some exciting news, and we'll invite you more for having a conversation with us in the future for Kings Beach. Number 10 on the agenda is drive around Ward 3 with Parking Director Bob Stillion. As probably some of you know, Bob and we drove around all over Ward 3, but before that, I had 2 weeks of sending information for asking for input from residents. And if you look at this list, we got around almost 15 requests. I just posted 11 here because the rest are just redundant. But from basic problems about missing stoplights or requests for turn right turn, dead end sign, ticketing problems. So Bob and I actually went to the area and actually met with some of the residents who wrote us these email. And I'm very proud to say that, when this is just a bird's eye view. You can do a screenshot and read it later. But this is just the notes in black is what we did during that time. The notes in red is what actually the response of our parking traffic commission, or we already have an existing ordinance that we don't have to reinvent the wheel or that needs to be done. And the one in green is my recommendation. So more on that. I can talk to you more later, and so that we can move forward with other topics. Number 11 is meeting with the mayor. So I had a very informative meeting with a one-on-one meeting with our mayor, and I talked to him. It's just that 1 hour of conversation with him, and it's an opportunity for me to talk about anything and everything about our ward. So I mentioned about the Sister City project. I noticed that Lynn has no Sister City program. I discussed this with the mayor. It's really important for us because we are an immigrant city. We come from different countries. It's nice to have that program. If you want to Google it, it's Sister City. It's very self-explanatory. I also talk about our roads and illegal dumplings, dumpsters, absentee landlords. The list goes on and on and on. So I could elaborate that more, but if you are subscribed with my newsletter, a lot of these are discussed in my newsletter. All right, after item number 11, oh my gosh, I need to really review my list. There's 3 11s here. So item number 11 is about Brickett in-person neighborhood meeting. I invited our friend Amy Butterworth, but Amy has a family gathering. So this is the age of technology. So Amy recorded a video. So listen to Amy's conversation, and I'll discuss more.
Hey everybody, my name is Amy Butterworth. Thanks so much for letting me jump on here. Our son is a first grader over at the Brickett School, which happens to be in Ward 3. We actually live in Ward 4, which is why I haven't been on one of these Zoom calls before, but we've done so much great work with Ward 3, with Coco in particular, and we've had so many great volunteers at some of the Brickett events that have come from Ward 3. So thank you for that. And it's part of why I'm here, because of the collaboration and that community element of everything. So what had started, I want to say a couple months ago at this point, as a very small group of concerned parents who were voicing issues about safety around the Brickett community and on that strip of Lewis Street in particular. That small group has really evolved and more voices have been coming to the table, and we've been learning that there's a lot going on behind the scenes to sort of resolve some of the issues. And the goal now is to bring everybody together. So we've got a lot of work going on behind the scenes. We have people that are feeling concerned and ready to take action. And we've had a chance to meet with the mayor, and what he would like to do is bring together voices from the community, some of the local business owners, Lynn Public Schools, our city councilors, the police department, ISD, and have a chance to really partner up and talk about some of the concerns and figure out an action plan. So the meeting will be in June. It's either the 4th, 5th, or 6th. We're waiting on a final date. We should know by Monday. And as soon as we have that date, I'll definitely reach out to Coco and we'll make sure it's on everybody's calendars. We would absolutely love for Ward 3 to come out in big numbers. I think a big part of this meeting is just showing the strength of our community and getting everybody together in one room to partner up and keep things progressing in the right direction. So all are welcome. If you have any questions, please reach out to myself or to Coco, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in June as we continue the conversation. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend and go Bruins.
Thank you, Amy. So, yeah, I mean, I had meetings with Amy and a lot of the parents and the principal and some teachers early on, and we noticed that we need this is something that is like beyond my expertise, so the conversation has spread out, and I'm glad the chief is here. This is a perfect segue to a broader conversation later. So just want you to know that we heard you loud and clear. We've seen what's happening there. We've seen the numbers, we've seen the records, so we're doing something there in the future. So stay tuned. I'll post more information around the next week or so. Other concerns, remember next Covanta is May 13. I just got a text here because I said illegal dumpling. I said dumping. Probably so hungry now that I misread some of the words. Also, we have trees coming. So I know there's areas in Eastern and Chatham that needs trees. So I made requests to our DPW to allocate some of the trees donated to the city to be put in that area. More on that soon. We also have the trash cart repair on May 20th. I posted about this in my newsletter. If you want to know more about that, let me know. I can give you more information. But the date is May 20th. That's the only day. You've noticed if you live in precincts 1 and precincts 2, most of the roads there have fresh paints. It's called thermoplastic. Crosswalks, stop sign areas. So thanks to our DPW working tremendously for 2 successive nights to finish that area. I know there's also issues about hydrant flushing. I already informed Lynn Water about their extensive communication, which is lacking at this time. So in the next time that they'll do that, we'll make sure that they will really communicate with us in all avenues of communication. I know there's also problems with braking cars. The chief will discuss that later, especially in my area. And some of you here are also victims of that. Just to let you know that this is an issue and we need to really vigilant about this. I'll be away on May 2nd to May 5th. I'll be in Washington, D.C. for a conference. So Councillor Hongnet will be the caretaker of Ward 3. So just FYI. All right, let's open up for 2 questions only. And so that we could give the floor to our chief, which is, you can also talk to me later or after if you don't want to ask questions. No questions, the better. So we can spend more time with the chief. But then again, I would like to start there first. Or any clarification from the things that I've discussed here. Hi, Margot, I can see you. All right, perfect. So let me read the chat just real quick. Oh, Sandy, okay. All right. So without further ado, okay, I'm 1 minute late for the segment of our chief. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our chief of police, Chief Reddy. Take it away, Chief.
Good evening, everyone, and Coco and to everyone in the group. Thank you very much for inviting me to share this time and speak with you tonight. I was at the Academy graduation earlier, and as Coco pointed out, that's why I'm still in uniform in the office. We just graduated 2 officers from the Academy, and they'll be sworn in next week. So we're excited about that, and I'll touch on that briefly. Coco, I did want to say, when you had 3 number 11s, I was reminded of my mom because every year on her birthday, she was 39 again and again and again too. So it's not the only, you're not the only person that happens to.
Thank you.
And the second thing I'll let you all know is I'm a Ward 3 kid. I was born and grew up and spent over 50 years of my life in Ward 3. So it's a part of the city that's near and dear to me. I played in many of those parks and grew up there. So it's important throughout the city, but obviously, you always remember where you came from, and that's where I came from. So we want to do what we can to help you have the neighborhoods that you can be proud of, that you can feel safe in, and that we can, build that throughout the whole city. So just getting back, I'll give you a quick overview of some of the things that have been going on here. We have, over the past several years, had a really significant hiring challenges. As you probably heard, a lot of police officers retired or left the field, but we've been working very, very hard to address those issues. We have just graduated 2 officers tonight. We have 8 more that'll be coming out in the next couple of months. And by early next year, we'll be I think, in a really good place and in terms of our hiring and our staffing. The city has been very supportive about our efforts about providing the resources and the support to keep our numbers up and so we can address some of the problems. But as we rebuild our personnel, we can address more and more issues and engage with the community in more and more ways, which I think is important. One of the big things that does bring up, though, is the need for training, because as I say, early next year, when we have a class that's pending graduate, about 50% of our department will have been on the police department for 5 years or less. So that's a lot of young and officers. And so it's really important to support them with training. So we're committed to doing that in many different ways. We just completed in-service training, firearms certification training, which we have new programs now that has virtual scenarios that officers can practice on to help build their skills and in all kinds of response situations. We're going to be doing active shooter training for our personnel and also trying to build out active shooter training for members of the community. We have several officers who can provide that type of training, and we want to start scheduling that either here at the police station or in the community so that people can have a better understanding of how they can respond if they ever found themselves in such a horrible event. That's it on the training part right now. I don't want to take too much of my time on that. We recently hired a crime analyst, which I'm really excited about because crime analysts are experts at helping us to interpret our data. We get a lot of information from our reports and our responses, but having an expert to help us to understand it in the way that will help us to focus our resources and deploy them in the right way to address problems before they become significant. So that's a really important development. We're working to try to find funding sources for victims service personnel that we think is really beneficial to helping victims of crime navigate the court system or other areas that they've been traumatized by because of their experience as a victim. And that's really high on our priority list. We also recently added some officers to some special units. It's something that I hope to continue doing over the course of the next year. Between the financial difficulties that the city experienced beginning about 10 years ago, and then for a period of 5 or 6 years, a lot of that contributed to our drop in personnel. And so it's been 4 years of trying to rebuild, and along the way there, we're trying to restore some of the services that we traditionally had, and also expand into other services that are now necessary in the community. So that's a general overview. I don't want to take up any more time talking. I'd rather answer your questions. So I'll be quiet now and you can tell me what's on your mind.
Thank you, Chief. This is very informal. So, some of the questions are very basic towards our ward and city in general. So I'll be moderating this segment. So whoever would like to start the first question, if you could click the raise button. If you don't know where that is, just raise your hand and I'll call you. All right, let me start, Chief, because I got an email from Trish Green, the president of the Goldfish Pond Association, and I'm reading her email. She said, "I read on your newsletter about this meeting, Coco. I won't be able to make it, but could you ask the chief of police the status of the hit and run and death of a woman on Western Avenue? It's not Ward 3, on March 29th. There has been no news as if there will be an arrest. It bothers me that the person that did this has not even faced a leaving the scene charge. As a citizen, I worry that this person is still out there." Trish Green.
Yes, I know exactly the case you're speaking of. That's Amira Marucha. She was an immigrant who lived in Westland and was crossing the street to get the bus to work when she was struck by a vehicle. So I want to be careful to say I can't speak a lot about open investigations, and I hope you can all appreciate that. I continue a little bit though. We have identified the operator of the vehicle. We have seized the vehicle for further investigation, and that was all done within hours of the crash. Hit and run or any type of motor vehicle crash investigation is different from a criminal investigation. And we involve the state police crash unit and analysis of the vehicle. And then, of course, there's the traditional forensic sciences that all have to be done. And that analysis, gathering that data, that evidence, and then having it processed, with reports generated, can be a slow process. The district attorney's office will not bring charges till they're sure of exactly what they have. And I think that makes sense, quite frankly. We don't want to charge prematurely. But it is definitely an active investigation. And we have identified the operator of the vehicle and the vehicle that we believe was involved in that incident. So I expect at the conclusion of the investigation, the DA's office will make a public announcement on charges.
Thank you, Chief. Fair enough. We have a next question from John Costello from Mountain Avenue, Essex area. John, take it away. You're muted, John.
That better?
Yep, better. We can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chief, for being here tonight. My question only is that I live 2 houses from the Swampscott border, and to have a police presence in my neighborhood is slim to none. And the few times I have requested police presence, I have been treated almost like a criminal. For instance, my home was hit, $21,000 worth of damage by a drunk driver with no insurance and no license, was airlifted from Lynn to Boston. I never got a follow-up. I had to pay the deductible to have my home repaired. Lynn has not followed up with me as to what happened to that driver. I don't even know if he's still alive. But again, when I came home to see a car buried in my wall in Lynn police, the officer on scene literally used foul language towards my wife and told her to get the F out of her crime scene. Well, first of all, it's no longer a crime scene. It was an accident where the vehicle was against the wall with a tow truck there. The airlift helicopter had already left for Boston. And it's my home. And I don't appreciate a Lynn police officer telling my wife to get the F out of her crime scene, which happens to be my home. And I mean, I know that there is protocol. I am trained by the Department of Justice, sir. I am retired fraud investigator for the Commonwealth. I was the deputy director of the integrity unit. I know my place around a crime scene. This was unheard of and uncalled for. And I'd like to have more of a presence over here in this part of Lynn. That's what I have to say.
John, thank you. First off the bat, I'm sorry that you had that experience. Obviously, that is not acceptable way to communicate with any member of the public. We will not tolerate it. We'll look into this incident, try to identify the officers, and
I
we'll
give you
have
the
the,
date. If you need the date, it was April 15, 2022 at 3:20 in the afternoon. The state police eventually came and she left the scene and got in her cruiser because the state police accident reconstruction started taking pictures. They took over the scene.
a couple of things. The conduct isn't inexcusable. I'm not going to try to defend it. We will look into it and we'll follow up appropriately when something like that happens. That's not representative of our offices. It's not representative of what we expect from our offices. And if someone was having a bad day or a bad moment, that's still not a good, acceptable reason, but we'll bring them in, we'll counsel them, and provided there is not a history here, we'll move forward from there. But first, I'd ask you to give me some time to look into it and we will follow up.
I'm
With
not
regard
even
to,
anybody to be called in on this. I just wanted to point it out. I mean, it could be a one-off thing or whatever, but it's just something that happened. I'm not looking to escalate or anything else, officer. It's just that I thought it should be pointed out. That's all.
Right. John, if you want, I could also connect you with the chief on a email and go from there, okay?
Just getting it out there was enough, Coco. I mean, I don't want to
Okay.
escalate. There's a lot more important things to worry about. I got it out there and that's the important thing. More importantly is it's maybe like the poor woman who was, hit by a car in my house getting hit. A little bit of follow-up with the victims per se. I'm hearing victims here earlier about money being available for victims going through the system. Well, we don't have assistance when our homes get hit by uninsured vehicles or unlicensed vehicles to try and recoup our out-of-pocket expenses. I mean, it's bad enough trying to live on as a retiree, but then to
Right.
have to pay $2,000 out of pocket is just unheard of. But anyway, Chief.
Yeah, we
please
heard
do
you
not-
loud and clear. That's why we're having meetings like this, because we need input from you guys. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
I saw Jacqueline, raise your hand and you lowered it. Just want to make sure if you still want to ask that question. Jacqueline? You can unmute yourself.
There you go. Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me okay?
Yep,
All right. It's actually Mary Jo. I had,
Oh, hi, Mary Jo.
hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Just good. Just a quick thing, Chief Reddy. I understand that the Brickett area, the meetings, either June 4th, 5th, or 6th, I would love to go there to talk about the concerns of Ward 3. Just a concern about the closing of Walgreens, which is on Lewis Street. That's closing May 1st. We have a whole month of God knows what will be happening in the parking lot and behind the building, because there's things that are happening now that I had emailed Coco about. So just hoping that maybe, and I know you guys are busy and you're short, but maybe just kind of patrolling the area the best you can, because I have had a personal incident, but it's going to be a month before the meeting at Brickett, so that's why I was just questioning.
no, I understand. Thank you for sharing that. So in terms of, obviously there was a very high profile shooting incident at 119 Lewis Street next to the school, and that area has been a priority area for us. We carried out 2 search warrants soon after. Those are investigations that have been going on there. Deputy Chief O'Toole, who works with the other city officials on the Public Property Committee, has been taking our point there. He has been in contact with the property managers of 119 Lewis Street about the issues there. And our belief, frankly, is that effective management makes all the difference in the world. And we often have, I shouldn't say often, we have very, very good property managers in the city, and we have irresponsible property managers. And what we hear from some is that, well, it's not their fault, it's the housing code, it's everyone else. And we just don't believe in giving into that. We think we push back on the property managers. So we're working with the city officials on that. In terms of the Walgreens and the other areas, things happening in that area, I can tell you that we do have a number of investigations that have been worked in that area recently, and some are ongoing. You won't always see those happening because it's our plainclothes officers and they're working sort of behind the scenes, and we'll continue to work on, sources of drugs and other crimes of that nature. But in terms of increasing visibility and hotspots, I'd ask you, please call us, even if the problem's already gone, make us aware of it, because when we know where the problems are, we can better focus our resources. But I will take away from this meeting that area is still causing a lot of concern, and people having those experiences, and we'll try to increase our uniform patrols in that area.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Alicia, take it away.
Keep muting me. I just had a question. So who would we talk to about crossing guards? That has been an issue, particularly at Brickett School. I don't know if anyone, I have myself reached out multiple times. The crossing guard that we have right now, I know it's great we have one, but it's not great when we have one that's swearing and yelling at people. I have reached out to the school resource office. They've never reached back. Nothing has ever gotten solved from this. He's continuing to swear at people. He's gotten in my face. He also lets them cross on the green light for Autumn, and I don't know the name of your street, that street where Dunkin' Donuts is. He lets them cross. Thank you. I was like, somebody knows. He lets them, cross. He tells them that they can cross them, but it's a green light for them. So the kids are almost getting run over by the car. That's what we have gotten an issue with, because we wait till the turn signal. I mean, he has sworn at me. My kids have seen it. Many people have complained at Brickett School, and they just basically get told contact the school resource office, and it seems like nothing ever gets solved. So,
Okay, so the crossing guards fall into we have an officer assigned to the youth services unit who oversees the crossing guards. So if you have a problem like that, behavioral problem, something like that, you can call, and Officer Ann Magna oversees that program. You can ask for her. If she's not in the office, you can leave a voicemail and she'll follow up. Lieutenant Tim Donovan oversees that unit. This specific issue, I'm making notes as we talk. I will address this, bring it to their attention next week, follow up, but they'll be happy, and it can be helpful to talk to you personally. So again, Officer Ann Magna, if you just call the station and say, can I speak to Officer Ann Magna? And obviously if she's not working, just say, I'd like to leave a voicemail, and you can do that. But if you don't get in touch, reach out to me.
I reached out and I asked I think his name is John Magnan, and he forwarded the emails, but I never heard back from her. And I mean, the problem is still happening. And I get it. It's great we have a crossing guard, but it's not great when my kids no longer want to cross the street when he's there. So
Yeah, that's
I understand.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I would say crossing guards in general, it's been really a lot of challenges in hiring for the last 20 years.
Yep.
So that's a problem and a frustration we hear a lot about. But if there's just a performance issue like you're talking about, we will address that. I will be speaking to Officer Magna, but if you don't connect with her in some way, or you haven't heard back, reach out to me and I'll make sure they're connected.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Because I mean, it's just been an issue for so long at this point. I know school's almost over, but.
Yeah, we need to correct that in order there will not be a problem in the future. Thank you, Alicia. Lisa?
Hi, Chief. Thank you for what you do. Just want to tell you that.
Thank you.
So I've been road trips and things like that. And I know I see a lot of construction going on. I see that you guys take officers to direct traffic. I know you guys are short staffed, but when I'm traveling in other states and things like that, the construction company has their own traffic guy instead of taking away from you guys. So I'm not sure why, us in Massachusetts, taking the officer to direct traffic when maybe the construction company can have someone that's trained to direct traffic and not take away from you guys that should be doing more important things. And that's mainly what I just don't know, it's just like you guys are always there, the officers that were already short-handed directing traffic for construction. I just don't understand it.
Okay. So first of all, when you see officers working road jobs, that's separate from their regular assignment. That's we call it details, but it's essentially like overtime, and it's paid for by the companies and not the taxpayers. There's been a debate over that in the state Commonwealth back and forth for a number of years. There was a flagman bill filed, and for a lot of different reasons, it didn't even though when it was implemented, it didn't work out well. There was a lot of problems in flagmen not being experienced in dealing with traffic and a number of issues like that. I haven't read any of those reports in preparation of this conversation, but it's something that's had a lot of study. And I think the position right now is police officers have the authority and the power to direct traffic, and they can control and they can stop cars and they can do things, and motorists tend to listen to them more. And that's a big part of the big reason why that's in play. And I've even seen more and more when I travel to other states, I see officers on busier roads for the same reasons. But to answer your question simply, that is not, we don't deploy the officers to those as part of normal operations. That's separate, and it's paid for by the contractors themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, I received a direct message here from Joe. Chief, will the traffic department be expanded? Joe, do you want to talk more about this?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Chief, and thank you for being here. It seems like a good starting point to help with a lot of these issues is a robust traffic department. Do you agree?
I wholeheartedly agree. It's a priority of mine. We have some of the highest crash rates among several intersections in the city. We have a disproportionately high pedestrian crash issue. A lot of times the data that we get from the Department of Transportation is a couple of years old, so we're always sort of playing catch up, but it supports our own anecdotal challenges that as the city grows, it becomes more and more congested and dense, the hazards to motorists and pedestrians are still there. So it is a priority of mine to add additional officers to the traffic unit. We are also trying to be innovative and use technology. We've tried to purchase more message boards and speed trailers to warn motorists wherever we can as a kind of force multiplier, because we can't obviously have an officer on every street, but traffic remains the #1 complaint that we hear from residents. So building up that unit is a priority.
I understand. I believe there's 4 officers now. What would be a desired number?
There's 3 right now. A desired number for, what I would like to do is have 4 committed full-time to the traffic unit, and then see how that goes and then reassess.
You had mentioned earlier effective property managers, and it actually hit a nerve because that's what I do. What do you suggest we do?
Well, I mean, when I talked about effective property managers, I think property managers who are engaged, who their tenants know who they are, see them in the building, they quickly respond to problems. We have a lot of property managers like that, and those are the buildings that we have really far fewer responses than others. And I don't, it's difficult to be a property manager. I'm not trying to, throw mud on everyone, but I guess I've seen so many buildings well managed that when I see chronic buildings where we have chronic problems and chronic responses, I'm frustrated because I think engagement, being on site, holding tenants accountable, having strong leases, again, those are all the things I think help to keep quality of life in buildings.
Have you had any engagement with any of the agencies that kind of work in these buildings? Because sometimes there's situations where the occupant doesn't work with the landlord for a specific reason. They're being housed by an intermediate agency. And I think those tend to be your more frequent spots, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. That there are different agencies that house people sometimes from other communities in here, or sometimes because of a certain service they provide. We do work with them, and we, our downtown, our Central Business District Bike Unit has had a lot of success working with property owners. And my experience is when the owners are engaged and they're working with us, the problems are fewer. And when they're not, and we're having trouble getting them at the building and responding quickly, we have far more problems. Living in congested living quarters is always, humans are who they are, and there can be confrontations and problems and so forth, and that's just normal life. But the buildings that disproportionately have problems, generally we see that they don't have on-site management as often as we see in the better buildings or
Mhm.
buildings that don't have problems.
Thank you,
I
Chief.
appreciate
By
that,
on-site
Chief. Thank you.
management, I just mean a regular presence.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Vanya? You can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yep, good evening. My name is Vanya. I'm the owner of 105 Lewis Street, next to the building that we always calling and complaining, next to Bricket. I'm next to the parking lot of the school. I'm the resident in this house for the past 20 years. And the past probably 15 years, the neighbors call constantly because we have issues at the parking lot, people getting high, prostitution, and it's unacceptable. And it's something that I cannot take it anymore. And I think this area, Lewis Place as well, we are
Lewis Place.
really, yep, Lewis Place. The neighbors, we always talk, and we used to live very in peace, and we are very close. But I offered to the police to come and put video on the second floor when it was vacant, so they can record her and take pictures and take everything. But I don't know if it's the police, I don't know if it's the system that it's failing constantly. I had vandalized the cars, they were breaking in the parking lots. And we had to do the follow-up, we had to do the investigation, and they take us to court. It fell at a point that we cannot be living the rest of our lives that way. So we have better things to do. Probably sometimes they don't even pick up my call when I call to the police, because I don't call 911. I call the police phone number, because it's fighting on the street or beating, and somebody is beating somebody else. They're breaking in through the windows on the buildings. It's every day. The police comes every day to the building next to the parking lot. It's anything else that we need to do. What else can we do as a neighbors, as a residents, to be living a little bit safer?
So Councilor Ellensig and I, a while back, had a discussion about some of these same concerns that the residents down there, and I understand completely your frustration. Part of what we're doing is trying to address some of the source of the problems with the building at 119 and the problems that were happening there. And we're working with other city departments on that. So a couple things. I appreciate the offer to put a video on the second floor. The challenge is that, watching that video and anything we see to be after the fact, and whether we could actually do anything with it, it's not the best way to address the problem. What we need to do is communicate with you directly, try to learn more about what, when, and why you're experiencing the problems you're having, and then we can focus a response.
Well, it's so many years of experience, and you can see we can chat. The whole neighborhood can chat with you and tell you what's going on right in the parking lot of the school parking lot. We should put fence, we should guard that parking lot. They do barbecues on the weekends in that property. We call the police arrive when everybody's gone. I can see from my window every day during the day how they sell drugs in that parking lot. While everybody's working, while the kids are around, they get, in the summertime, they get high, they get naked right there. It's disgusting. So I've been calling the police, they come, they check, they leave, nothing. It's years.
Chief, can I answer this real quick? Vanya, one of these days I will go visit you and we'll sit down and have coffee. I'll brief you everything, but that is part of the discussion, the general discussion that is happening in June with what Amy had mentioned. I took down notes with everything. I heard that story so many times, not by you, but by your neighbors in the houses near you. The nakedness, prostitution. I got all of that in my record. So that will be
Can we-
discussed in June. We will talk more about that. But there's also, it's not also about the police. There's the mayor and the council also needs to change some of our old laws in the city. So we are going to change some of our old ordinances to give pressure, to give teeth to our local laws, which right now a lot of the property owners are so comfortable with. So yeah, it's a larger conversation, and I understand your frustration, and
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry you are frustrated, but we're in this together. Chief, you
Unfortunately,
want to add?
I had an Airbnb and I had turned off a couple of times because the Uber driver told the lady that it was coming and the couple that it was coming, that this city is so dangerous, how they can stay here. So I was turned off by Airbnb, and they cancel many times. So it's affecting directly to me, and I really appreciate everything that you're doing, Coco, and thank you to the chief.
You're welcome, Vanya. I know how it feels. We used to have Airbnb, so we know how that affects when they start writing comments here and there.
And council, we would be more than happy to participate in a meeting. I think a lot can be gained through direct contact, and we would have an officer and a supervisor who actually work that area participate in that meeting, because that generally is how things get resolved and we get improvements.
Thank you. Dawn, I see your hands. You raise your hand, Dawn. The mayor of Eastern Ave, where are you?
I am.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Chief, for showing up here. Yeah, I was going to talk about 119 also, but it's already been touched on enough. I would just be concerned as what's going to happen between now and June. You know, my son's been in recovery on and off for 25 years, and I know that place is insane. Some guy came running out there the other day, like he was so drugged out on crack cocaine, and he was dangerous. And you know, so maybe you could give some relief to the people at Dunkin' Donuts when I go there in the afternoon to get my coffee. It's just like a freak show. It's sitting there, you know, looking out the window. It's just a freak show. You just never know what's going to go on there. And it's right next to the school. So blah, blah, blah. And if you could help them, that would be wonderful. I just had a quick question about, I've spoken to the traffic sergeant, Sergeant Hunter, several times. I live on the corner of Eastern and New Ocean Street. And I put boulders on my front lawn because they've gone through my fence so many times and knocked down the traffic light so many times. So we were looking about getting a speed, you know, sign, you know, the electronic ones, but Sergeant Hunter said, you know, that in the winter, he didn't want it to get destroyed because of ice and snow, whatever. So I think it's time now that we can get something, you know, out there. Like we have these tractor trailers that are hauling gravel, and they're speeding through that intersection. And I'm just telling you, there's going to be a serious situation there. And right now, Coco and Representative Amini are working on something for that, you know, redesigning that intersection, whatever, but it's just a total mess. I think it's the worst in the city is what Coco had said. So if maybe you could look into doing something that we could do in the interim. You know, they're supposed to it's supposed to be a one lane in all directions, and they've made 2 lanes on the 4 stops. And it just makes, you know, there's no yields. It just, you know what it's like. It's just crazy. So if you could do something to help us with that, we would greatly appreciate it. There's already been 1 death at that intersection. Never mind, I have a whole library of car accidents if you'd like to see my portfolio. So anyway,
I'm familiar with that intersection, Dawn, and it's a challenging area because the cross streets both have hills come up and over, so there's both visibility issues, and so even a little bit of speed it compounds the problem because of visibility. That's when we talk about environmental design trying to be a better solution, and that's a longer, more expensive fix, but it's something we committed to working on. But the short term, or at least to try to give some attention to it, I will absolutely speak to Sergeant Hunter. I'm not sure if you mean one of our pole-mounted speed signs or the trailer, but we'll follow up, and I assume he's got your contact. If not, I'll reach out to Counselor Alan Sigan and we'll follow up on that.
Great.
And
Thank
just
you very much.
the last thing I'd say on 119, I know it's a priority for all of you. It's a priority for us, and we will absolutely be given that attention. And as I said, Deputy Chief O'Toole is working regularly with the other city agencies that are involved on the Public Property Committee on that issue.
And
And
Chief,
we
can I
have
just
reached
ask,
out-
will there be a police presence in the area of 119 Lewis Street in the near future?
Right. Are you asking? Well, there's a police presence there all the time because
Well,
of
I-
calls.
We have
But
to call, and then it's after the fact. And I think that's the point we're trying to make is by being proactive in that area, you're speaking to a property manager right now from 105 who's informing you that she's not able to utilize her property because of it. And I sympathize with that issue because I've been in her situation before. So it would be nice if there was an officer that was stationed there until at least the problem subsides.
I honestly don't have the resources to station an officer there 24/7. I just can't do it. What we will do is make it a priority to increase our visibility and try to be proactive about addressing problems. And the other thing that we are doing is doing investigations on some of the source of the problems. And those are officers who are in plain clothes you might not always see. But I truly believe that the property owners have a crucial role in this, and we're committed to pushing on that as well. So to answer your question, yes, you will see us up there. And if not, you can call me, we'll meet, we'll talk about it. But it's a big city and we have to respond to calls throughout the city. So I cannot commit officers to just one address.
Thank you. And Chief, as what Joe mentioned, can you at least put that area in like an increased number of visibility from our police for now? While I understand about the staffing, I know you have problems with that as well. And also, we also understand that it will open up a Pandora box for other areas too. Like, hey, how come Ward 3 has having special, like, you know what I'm saying? So, and I would like to say thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm hearing you loud and clear, trust me. And we're going to do our best to increase our presence, both plainclothes and uniform, and to address your concerns. And I hear your fear. And that bothers me. I'm not going to walk away from this and say, oh, I'm done. Trust me, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you. And Chief Reddy is also one of the few people at City Hall that pronounce my last name very perfectly. So I just want to commend you that. Any last question? One question, and then we'll end this meeting. All right. So, Chief, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for coming. I know you're very busy, but Peter, my husband Peter is raising his hand. Peter.
Hi, Chief Reddy. Thank you so much for participating in this meeting. I was wondering if there's more programs like Coffee with a Cop, more positive programs instead of just showing up when things are not good.
Yeah.
Where
I appreciate that.
Get involved when it's good time to get to know the people that can help them.
It's a very good point. So just really quickly, Coffee with a Cop is a program we run once a month down at Land of 1,000 Hills. We have just begun our annual, we call it CIT patrol. So every officer who normally works in plain clothes in either an investigative or administrative position, including myself, one day a month, we go out and work the day in uniform, out on foot patrol for part of the day and cruiser patrol for the other part, to both increase positive engagements with the community, but also to increase visibility and interaction with the community. So that's, and we do that from April through October, and that has just started up again. You'll see more that way. As we are restoring our numbers, I expect to add some more proactive programs. We've added a lot in terms of youth engagement. We began youth drop-in centers. We have a weekend one that's gone on for a number of years. When I became chief, I committed to having them during the school vacation weeks so kids have a safe place to go. We do them at Thurgood Marshall and Breed. We feed them lunch. They play ball. There's officers there interacting with them. We're doing a student academy. I want to have a citizens academy down the road. And we're really committed to trying to take part and be present at as many community events as possible, because we don't want you to just see us when something bad happens either. We want you to see us when good things are happening, to build those relationships and be able to answer questions like this.
Thank you
That's
so
great.
much. That's it. Thank you, Chief. Just in closing, I just want to commend you for being very visible and very always there every time I reach out to you. In fact, I showed a colleague when I sent you an email and I said, "Watch, in 3 minutes he'll reply," and you did. So I just want everybody to hear that because a couple of our constituents emailed me before this meeting and said they want to ask you a question, and I said, just email him. He's very proactive. So thank you from all of us. Again, I promise that we'll end the meeting exactly 8:30. It's 8:31. Enjoy your evening, everyone. Happy New Year for our Southeast Asian community. We'll see you at the Commons tomorrow. Take care. Thank you, Chief.
Thank
Bros.
you.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Bye. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Peter.
Peter.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Peter.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Officer
Happy birthday, Peter.
Peter's birthday's tomorrow, right?
Right.
Okay, I was just like, my calendar is wrong?
All right, we're still recorded. I need to end the meeting. Bye, everyone.
Good night.